All right, good morning. It is kind of a slow one. I only have this one reveal that's come out, but I wanted to just have a quick chat with you guys just to see if I'm the only one experiencing this. So, I showed this to my fiance, who's a little younger than I am, and my son, who's about to turn 16. My son said, and I quote, "Why do they have Fat Flash with a cape in the Kickstarter?" Now, obviously, once I was like, that's obviously not Flash. Look at it closer. He's like, oh, why is he wearing that? And I realized he has never heard of Alan Scott. He has no idea who Alan Scott is, why Alan Scott's relevant to comic book history. My fiance, she knew of him. She had seen the character design before. And looking into him, I found this, which I actually think is pretty cool. It's apparently a green armor he wore in one of the more recent series. But she could only identify him. She couldn't tell me anything about him. And that's fair. Like, that's super fair because I can barely tell you anything about him, and I'm more familiar with his existence. I actually mistakenly thought he was originally Parallax, and I realized I was wrong about that. But I think that's the problem. DC has so many iterations and so many reboots that there are characters that even when somebody knows who they are so generationally distant that the more modern, the more younger fans feel really detached. Like, for example, I went through this and showed this to my son, who's a huge fan of the Red Hood, and was mortified to find the Red Hood dual wielding crowbars. Like, he jokingly said that's like walking around with PTSD in your hands. If they won't let him have guns, why can't he have knives? Then I showed him Spoiler. I have no idea who Spoiler is. Spoiler has come to my attention, I think one other time because everybody thought it was funny that her name was Spoiler, and they would be talking about spoilers, and that seems to be the reason she's in anything. And then, as I'm explaining these things to him and I'm showing him, he goes, "Well, why don't we have the Red Robin? Why don't we have the other Robin?" Well, we did get him as a zombie. Okay. We don't have any of the real Rogues Gallery present. I'm assuming that's coming. But my point is that they've picked an interesting array of designs from the different times in DC's life, and it's made it very jarring for fans to identify. Because even if you are a fan of this particular character, the time period that they picked is sometimes so bizarre to you that it almost isn't that character anymore. Like Lucius Fox here. I don't know why Lucius looks like that. Like, if you can't do Morgan's face because you don't want to pay him, that's fine. But that Lucius doesn't. I didn't even realize it was Lucius. It threw me so hard. And I'm a huge fan of the Lucius character. I think he's one of the better additions to that mythos in a long time. But it's very. It seems to be a problem that's plaguing this Kickstarter. And not just this Kickstarter, because the Knights Model Batman game, it does it too. Although the Knights Model Batman game seems to have a better cohesive choice as far as what characters and from what designs. And I suspect, and I could be wrong, this is speculation, but I suspect that DC is actually telling the Zombicide folks what designs they have to use, and I know they're approving the design, so DC's in there telling them do this, do that, do this, and dictating what of their IP they can do. And if there's any IP I've ever seen that is good at shooting itself in the foot, it's the DC franchise as a whole. Because their animated movies were so good that I fell in love with characters I'd never heard of. And then their animated movies started just kind of getting bizarre. Like it was very strange and kind of hard to explain if you didn't experience it. But their cinematic universe, of course, has never really gotten an identity that works for it. But I wanted to talk about this one too. So Guy Gardner, I only know this character because I was in the right age category to watch the Justice League of America JLA cartoon and the Batman animated series, and he was in that, and he was fun in that. He doesn't look like a and again, I actually think this is more to do with DC than it is the Zombicide folks. I think the Zombicide folks are doing great with what they have. But he looks like a prototypical thug from a like an old Batman comic. And it's a shame because he doesn't have to. I also want to bring up this because there is no excuse for this. There's Sinestro, okay? And if you didn't want to do this on Zombie Sinestro, fine, but there's Sinestro. And you know what Sinestro does not have? Sinestro does not have yellow plastic, yellow see-through plastic. And my first thought when I first saw this, I was like, oh, okay, maybe they can. But I know they can because they did it here. Why does Captain Atom have clear yellow plastic and Sinestro, the leader of the Yellow Lantern Corps, doesn't? Like, it's bad enough that we only have one other Lantern when we have all these fantastic characters. Because if you had taken Guy Gardner from me and given me Atrocitus, that would have been a trade I'd have made every day of the week. I tell you what, I'll trade Alan Scott for the cat from the Red Lantern Corps. And yes, I'm serious. I would absolutely trade Alan Scott, the first Green Lantern, for the cat from Atrocitus' Red Lanterns. But if you're a fan of Alan Scott, then I'm super happy for you. Because I suspect if you're a fan of Alan Scott, then this is the design you probably would like. Because this is like the classic one. And I don't think his more modern interpretations have really done him any favors. But if you're a fan and this is something that you really liked, I want you to put a comment down below. But then I'm happy for you, man. And that's what I keep telling myself. There's a lot of these designs that are designed for people specifically from different time periods who experience different medias, and my hope is that the people who wanted Alan Scott got the one that they wanted, and that the people who wanted Alan Scott are happy because they got him. Because I know for me, whenever I saw a character like in the Marvel Zombies one, when I saw Carnage, because it's my son's favorite character from that series, I was super happy. The design kind of left me wanting. I got a lot to say about that, but the character itself being included and then looking enough like Carnage so that he could relate with it really made it feel special to him. So I'm hoping that somebody out there really wanted Alan Scott, and this makes them happy. This is Dorkness Inc. Thank you for your time and listening to me rant and rave about this. We didn't have much to cover, so I thought it'd be a good time to go over it. Have a good day. Be good to each other. Leave comments. Thank you all.